Too much tilt. Figure I'll get this right at some point. All right. As always, let's make sure we're working. It's not what I want. Live. See myself. Live chat working. Welcome to the show. Right off the top, I just saw that Chris Paul is about to be traded from Oklahoma City to Phoenix. Initial reaction is that Paul is a bridge, not a destination for that franchise. He's a bridge, not a destination. I can see what Phoenix is doing. I was just looking at this right now. What are they? 34-39 last season, right? 34-39. They won all 8 games in the bubble. A lot of potential there with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, but they're young. And they're in a veteran-laden Western Conference with a lot of very good teams. So if they want to take the next step in their development and maturation, who better to bring in than a possibly somewhat disgruntled player with another team who is one of the smartest basketball players in the league and still has a lot to offer on the court. I think Paul is going to be like 35 years old, and he's battled a lot of injuries. But the young guys will learn from him. And it's easy to take shots at him and talk about how he hasn't won in the playoffs, he's never gone deep, but he's going to help that team's IQ. He's going to help that team navigate the rigors of travel and just all the things. I mean, do they have any veterans on that Phoenix team that can bring that to the table? I don't know. I don't think so. So I don't think he's a destination. I don't think Phoenix brings in Chris Paul and boom, situations taken care of, and now they're ready to go to the NBA Finals. But I think he's a bridge to the destination they want to get to. Sounds pretty savvy, right, for a Monday morning? Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. Life lesson learned yesterday, which surprisingly is a life lesson I've had to be taught pretty much for my entire life. If you have a good run on a Thursday, don't come on to a live stream Sunday morning talking a whole bunch of trash about how you're going to be hot and bet everything on the board and then get your tail kicked in, which is exactly what happened yesterday. Thursday, we had a card that featured Thursday night football. I think there may have been a college football game on there, some stuff on Saturday as well. It was a good run considering how cold I've been the last 2 weeks. It was a 2-week stretch. 3 Thursdays ago to last Thursday was this awful run we were on. Thursday, we end the run. I think we went 4-1, 5-1, something like that. Things were looking good. And then yesterday got my face kicked in. Last night, thank you, Lamar Jackson, for that late scramble, getting over your rushing total, because that was the only winner. We lost Baltimore. We lost the Baltimore-Tampa teaser that I was closing, and I lost a Baltimore teaser that I was opening up that I was hoping to close tonight with Chicago. More on that in a bit. So that's 1-3. Overall now, 80 wins, 103 defeats. So 23 under. I want that resolved by the Super Bowl. God, that number spiraled out of control fast. Okay. Speaking of which, for the Ravens, I find it very interesting that this is Lamar Jackson's 3rd year in the league. So he is eligible for a contract extension, new contract after this year. And I'm wondering if you're Baltimore, do you want to do that? It feels like, and what's happening with them isn't 100% on him. We've done this rant before. But it feels like that team, if they run in the tight spots and they get behind, like that's it. They can't come back. Last night they fell down and it's just like, that's it. You're watching them out there. They have no way of coming back. They can't sustain consistent drives to score because they have to lean on the passing game because they're running out of time and Jackson's not a great pocket thrower. And people will chime in, well, it's pouring rain. It was. Last night, the elements hurt them. But New England was able to move the ball and score points. And when Baltimore got down against Kansas City early in the year, they couldn't come back. And when they got down against Pittsburgh, they couldn't come back. Like, Jackson just can't do it. Like, Mahomes, you see, and Mahomes is all world. But if Mahomes is down like that offense, he can lead them back. Brady's done that sort of thing. Rodgers does that sort of thing all the time. Russell Wilson. Jackson can't. So I don't know, man, like 38, 40 million a year. This might be another Dallas Cowboys situation with Dak Prescott. You let him play out year 3, and then next year it's, we're going to let you play this out, and then we'll talk about a contract. Then you get through 4 years, then you pick up the 5th-year option. If he doesn't make the progress, I don't know. I don't know if I want to dump that much money into it. Conversely, the pro side is pay him now so that 3 years from now, he's a lot cheaper, which is what Dallas should have done. All right. So that's the end of the rants. I want to start, before we jump into some stuff, with a newer thing I'm going to do here on Mondays. I want to look at the early line moves just to give you an idea of what the market's doing. So I'm taking the Westgate's numbers that they released Sunday afternoon when they say, yesterday, it's week 10, Sunday afternoon, they say, here's our week 11 lines. We just opened the market. All right. They go up yesterday. By now, they've already been bet into. So I just want to look at the key moves real quick so that anyone watching, we have an idea of where the early money is going with some of these matchups for week 11. Seattle was a 4.5-point favorite for Thursday night hosting Arizona. That's down to 3. Seahawks did not look very good against the Rams yesterday, and the Cardinals won on the Hail Mary. Cleveland was a 3-point favorite hosting Philadelphia. That's gone up to 3.5, so a little early money on the Browns. Is anyone surprised based on the way Philadelphia plays on a regular basis? The whole Cleveland team could have COVID. It wouldn't matter. Philly would find a way to manage themselves out of that game. New Orleans and Atlanta did not have a spread yesterday because of the Drew Brees injury. Came out this morning, New Orleans -7. Carolina, Detroit did not have a spread yesterday. Came out this morning, Carolina -3. New Orleans, Carolina, both home teams there. Houston was a 2.5-point favorite hosting New England. Get this. 2.5-point favorite hosting New England. This comes out Sunday afternoon. Patriots beat the Ravens Sunday night. New England -1. 3.5-point move right there. Interesting that New England's going to lay points on the road considering how we've seen them play. But they won 2 games in 6 days, and now suddenly they're not such an embarrassment, or at least the way they looked earlier. Did that tweet set a record for comments? Which tweet are you, Chip? Are you talking about the Jackson one? It got a lot of feedback. I'm honestly curious what people have to say. If you were running the Ravens, would you pay Lamar after this year? The easy move is to just let it go another year, but he might get disgruntled. Deshaun Watson got paid after year 3. Patrick Mahomes got paid after year 3. He's going to want to get paid. Remember, he's always going to point to the fact that he won an MVP award. Baltimore, how do you counter that if you're Baltimore? So back to the moves here. Pittsburgh was a 10.5-point favorite at Jacksonville. That's now 10. Little bit of money apparently moved that down 0.5 point. Indy was a 1-point favorite over Green Bay. And Green Bay won against Jacksonville, but apparently it didn't look pretty enough. Indy -2.5 now. Indy's going to have 10 days to get ready for this game. Remember that. Washington was a pick against Cincinnati. Washington now -1.5. Washington laying 1.5. Cincy, I feel bad for you, Joe Burrow, but it'll come around. You're a good quarterback. You made me a lot of money last year. Baltimore was a 7-point favorite over Tennessee. That's now down to Baltimore -6. Baltimore didn't look good last night. Tennessee's got 10 days to get ready. Got to figure Derrick Henry's going to see a lot of action there. Minnesota was a 7.5-point favorite over Dallas, still 7.5. Kansas City was a 6.5-point favorite over the Raiders, who had a really nice second half. That's now up to 7, I believe. That's interesting. Kansas City coming here to Vegas this weekend to take on the Raiders. 7 points. Remember what happened last time these two got together. I know a lot of people don't buy into the revenge spots and all that. That's going to be an interesting game. Let's see if the Raiders can give it to them a second time, or at least hang tight. That's going to be a big test for Gruden and company. Miami was a 3-point favorite at Denver. Oh my God, Miami's laying 3 at Denver. Denver has really gotten bad. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, they're at Denver, and that is still they are still laying 3. Miami's second trip west in 3 weeks. They went to Arizona, came home to host the Chargers, now back out west. Interesting. Speaking of the Chargers, they were a 9.5-point favorite over the Jets. Jets money hits the market immediately, knocks that down to 8.5. There was a game to win, Jets. These guys are just handing them out. Just handing them out. Bombs. And then Tampa. All right, so this will be one we'll end up talking about. Monday night, Tampa's going to host the Rams. That's a great Monday night game. Tampa's hosting the Rams. Tampa was a 4-point favorite. Early money on the Rams knocks it down to 3.5. I find that interesting. Number one, I like Tampa more than anyone in the NFC right now. It's not by a lot, and I know they got humiliated by the Saints. I still think they're the most balanced team in the league, or at least in the NFC. Pittsburgh's the most balanced team in the league. But the Rams lost Andrew Whitworth, their offensive tackle, torn MCL, so he's not going to play. and they got to come all the way across the country for this game. Tampa can have fans in the stands. It's not like it's going to be hostile. But also, this is, and we've talked about this before because I've been tracking this all season because it's mind-blowing. This is the Rams' 5th trip to the Eastern time zone in 10 weeks. 5 trips to the Eastern time zone in 10 weeks. Like, they might as well be flight attendants and pilots at this point, the way they travel. Keep that one in mind. I'm surprised to see that go down to Tampa -3.5. I have Tampa earmarked in that game. I think what's happening there is people saw how good the Rams looked against Seattle, and they're thinking, man, maybe we've undervalued the Rams. You have not undervalued the Rams. You have overvalued Seattle. I've been talking about that forever. It's nice to, one of the few things I'm getting right this year is the fact that Seattle is not as good as their record had previously indicated. There were a bunch of indicators out there that this team was going to fall off. Russ is great. The team is not. That's the difference. Russell Wilson is great, and people see him play, and they think, man, the Seahawks team is great. No, Russ is great. The team is not. That defense stinks. And yesterday, even when the defense kind of limited the Rams, that Rams team total is going to piss me off forever. 10 points on the opening 2 drives, 17 points with 6 minutes to go in the first half. I needed to get to 28 or 29 points because I bet it twice, and they scored 6 in the third and then stopped. So pissed off. Jared Goff, too. He's a nice robot out there for McVay, like a proxy for McVay, but all right. So that's that. So little opening line report. Let that sink into the dome. See how you feel about it. We'll talk more about it Thursday when we're back next. 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on Thursday. We do Thursday Night Football, which is Arizona-Seattle. I have no problem making lots of bets on that game. That should be fun. Number 2, that's the rematch too. Ooh, that's going to be good. We'll probably have some we'll definitely talk college football for the upcoming college football card, and that will probably be it. Police are out if you can hear that. Not the pigeons, though. Solve that problem. Although I do drive home, and I can see some hanging out on the roof when I come in, and my neighbors think I'm nuts because I park in the garage, I come out, I find a little pebble, and I huck it up on the roof to make them fly away. I do it almost every time if I see them. It's quite bizarre behavior. I should probably modify that behavior because I don't really want these people thinking I'm a weirdo, but I kind of am a weirdo, and I'm not going to let those pigeons win. So we're all going to have to deal with one another. That's what life in a neighborhood is like. All right, tonight, Bears hosting the Vikings. This one could be ugly. Weather 43 degrees projected at kickoff. Nothing in terms of precipitation, and winds, not bad, 10 to 13 mile an hour. So that's not the type of thing that's going to get us too worked up. Injuries, decent amount here. For the Bears, running back David Montgomery's out. It looks like Lamar Miller might get some burn tonight. Nose tackle John Jenkins, defensive back Sherrick McManus, and Mitchell Trubisky, all out for this game. Sam Mustipher, the center, is listed as doubtful, concerning a bit, and then questionable. Offensive tackle Jason Speegs, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I apologize. Cole Kmet, the tight end, Barcavius Mingo, and wide receiver Allen Robinson, although all these guys were practicing towards the end of the week, so they should be good to go. Official announcements come out about 90 minutes before kickoff. For Minnesota, relatively clean. Tight end Irv Smith, cornerback Cameron Dantzler are both questionable, but remember that Anthony Barr, Daniil Hunter, Holton Hill, and Mike Hughes, all defenders, all on injured reserve. So it's not like Minnesota, even though the injury report is clean, previous injuries still lurking, teams coming in a little bit banged up. Line movement. On the look-ahead line, the Bears were a 2-point favorite for this game. Can you believe that? A 2-point favorite, the Bears, for this game. Since that time, Chicago lost to Tennessee, Minnesota beat Detroit, and now it's been nothing but Minnesota money. It is all the way up to 3.5. So we got a 5.5-point move here. Total, we're seeing a little bit of money on the under. It's gone from 46.5 to 44. No surprise the Bears haven't been scoring much. Vikings on the road, going against a pretty good defense. You can see why a lot of people would be betting the under. I don't have a pick on the side or on the total tonight, so that's where it stands. I don't even have a lean. And even if I did, would you want to hear it? The plays I actually do like aren't winning, so why would you give a shit about the leans? All right, so a 5.5-point move. So I've got 2 plays I'm making on this game, and then I got 1 Maction play for tomorrow night, and then 1 NBA draft prop. Figured I'd spice it up a little bit here. So for tonight's game, I am going to play the Bears plus 3.5. I'm not going to get into the whole Kirk Cousins 0-9 on Monday Night Football sort of thing. Because quite frankly, even if you wanted to buy into that and say, well, Cousins can't really handle the big stage, I think that's true. I think Cousins feels a lot more pressure than other guys do in spots like this. However, I also think that without fans this year, that's an advantage for a guy like Cousins. Remember, he did go to Green Bay and win. That's a marquee game. He did play prime time on a road game to Seattle. And while they lost, they did cover the spread, and they shouldn't have given up that ridiculous drive at the end to Russell Wilson. If they had just converted 4th and 1, they win that game. So I'm not going to bang on Cousins for that. I'm just going to go good old-fashioned analysis for why I like the Bears tonight. And I don't love the Bears. Let me make that clear. But I want to bet the game. That's how we do things around here. Responsibly, of course. Hope everyone's staying responsible as well. Let's not get jammed up. Minnesota lost 5 of 6 to open the season. So let's remember that. This isn't some juggernaut. They dropped 5 of 6 games to open the season. They go on the bye, and then they come back out, and they beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. So that gets a lot of attention, as it should. It's a nice win. But remember, they had 2 weeks to get ready. Green Bay stinks with run defense. Dalvin Cook was running like crazy. It was a good situation for Minnesota. Then they come back last week, and they beat Detroit. So now they've won 2 games off the bye. Now suddenly people are like, oh, maybe Minnesota is going to be a dark horse that kind of runs the table. I mean, maybe they got a nice schedule over the next 4 or 5 weeks that could put them in a position where they get to 7-5. They very much could. But I'm not going to overvalue those 2 wins. I like the Packer win, but they were off the bye and the situation set up nicely. The Detroit win is whatever, right? Did Detroit lose to Washington yesterday, or they won with a late field goal? And they're not a very good team. They're not the worst, but they're not very good. So you don't get a lot of credit for winning that game. So what you want to do tonight, if you're Minnesota, is stick with that plan. You want to come in, you want to run the ball with Dalvin Cook, who's been fantastic the last few weeks, and you want to control the tempo, and you want to take the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands, and you want to grind down the clock, let the Bears not score any points, which is what they're good at, and win the game. The problem here is that the Bears are good against the run. I want to look at something. I should have had this note up and ready already. Notes everywhere. All right. So Cousins in the first 6 games this season, when they went 1-5, was attempting 29 passes a game. In the last 2 games, which they've won, Green Bay and Detroit, he's only attempting 17 passes a game. That's a massive drop-off. That's because they're running Cook like crazy. And that has been the success, the recipe for success. But this is going to lead into prop number 2. So I'm playing the Bears plus 3.5. I'm also going to go Dalvin Cook under 90.5 rushing yards, which I found at William Hill, Caesars William Hill here in Nevada. Not only Cook's going to be the focal point, right? If you're the Bear defense, you want to shut down Cook and you want to say Kirk Cousins has to beat us. Generally, you don't want to force Mahomes to have to hand the ball off, or have Drew Brees hand the ball off, or Tom Brady hand the ball off. Here, we'd rather have Kirk Cousins beat us. The Bears are currently tied for 8th in opponent yards per rush. They've been pretty solid against the run this year. This is key because Cook this season has topped this number in 4 of 7 games. He's had some big games, but those 4 games where he went over 91 rushing yards were all against teams that rank 20th or worse in opponent yards per carry. Houston, who's dead last, Green Bay, Tennessee, and Detroit, all very bad run defenses. So this is my logic. Minnesota wants to run the ball with a good running back. And when they play teams that don't defend the run well, they have lots of success because they're able to run, control the clock, control the tempo, keep the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands, and put themselves in a position to win, right? That's simple. You don't need to be all that bright to figure that out. That's what it looks like they want to do. I think the Bears have the defense to go ahead and limit some of that running. And if they can limit some of that running, that means Cousins has to make plays. And if Cousins has to make plays, that's where I want to be on Monday night. So Bears plus 3.5, Dalvin Cook under 90.5 rushing yards. Also, when it comes to some of this, we've got a low total here. So I like the 3.5 in my pocket with the home team for a game with a low total. Minnesota's 21st in pace this season. Chicago's 17th in pace this season. And the Bears last week, go back and look at that game against Tennessee when they went against Derrick Henry. 21 carries for 68 yards. Derrick Henry lights everybody up. Not the Bears. They did a pretty good job with him. So there you have it. Those are the 2 picks for tonight's game. Now, I got a pick from Maction tomorrow night. Not a whole lot of analysis here. I'm just going to lay 31 points with Buffalo. That sounds ridiculous. They are playing Bowling Green. Bowling Green is absolutely awful. Bowling Green this season lost by 19. No, hold on. I'm looking at Buffalo first. I got this number somewhere in here. Give me a second. This should have been better prepared. I feel like I should have done a better job preparing for this. And I don't think I have it written down in here because I'm not working on that today. Buffalo minus 31 versus Bowling Green. All right. So Buffalo's already won 2 big games. They beat Northern Illinois by 19. They beat Miami of Ohio by 32. That's the first part of this analysis. Buffalo's a pretty good team, and they played some pretty good defense this season. Bowling Green is 0-2, and they've been outscored by 73 points. They have been outscored by 73 points in 2 games, losing each game by 35 or more. That's what I was looking for. Not a whole lot of logic here. I think Buffalo is good. I think Bowling Green is terrible. I think Buffalo comes out tomorrow night and does what they've been doing, blow out their opponent. I think Bowling Green does what they've been doing, gets blown out. I keep an eye on the weather just in case anything gets crazy for tomorrow, but Maction pick, Buffalo minus 31 over Bowling Green. And I'll give you a little teaser now. I might bet against Bowling Green in every game this season. That might be one of my plays. So that's number 3. 4th play, final play, Wednesday night, NBA draft. Little draft prop action if you are interested in this. Sadiq Bey, the 3-and-D wing from Villanova, over under 14.5 for his draft position. I'm going under. Minus 130, so there's a little bit of juice here. Sadiq Bey, 3-and-D wing Villanova, under 14.5 for his draft position, minus 130. There's not a whole lot of logic here. I'm doing this for fun, all right? There's no inside information. I read a million mock drafts, everything I can find, and just about everywhere I look, he's going before 14. That doesn't mean a whole lot. It just kind of gives me a starting point. So then you start asking questions and doing some research. Guy's a 3-and-D wing, which the NBA loves since the Warriors have kind of, shown you that with Klay Thompson, and we've moved towards a 3-point revolution, or not moved towards, we're in it right now. I have some stats on him. He had a really good year with Villanova last year. 16 points, just shy of 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 45% from deep. So that's my logic. I like it. I want a little bit of action. I wish I could give you something on LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, and how the top 3 is going to shake down. If I come across anything, I'll tweet it out Joe Fortenbaugh. Right now, I don't have much, but I do like having action on the draft because there's a rush with like every pick. So I'll probably end up with 2 or 3 picks. The one I like so far right now, Sadiq Bey, under 14.5 for his draft position. So that's it. We're playing the Bears plus 3.5, Dalvin Cook under 90.5 rushing yards, Buffalo minus 31 over Bowling Green on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, NBA draft, Sadiq Bey, under 14.5 for his draft position. Thank you for checking it out. You guys are awesome. If there's anything else, fire away. If not, we'll check in later this week, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'll talk Thursday night football, college football card, all that stuff. And then we're back on Sunday. Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific with the full card. Generally, I pick lots of losers there. Very exciting time. And then I come back on half in the bag for the Sunday night stream, which always starts at the end of the last afternoon game, and give out a bunch of losers for Sunday night football. Hooray. Thanks for coming. Have a great Monday. Bet today, if you want more information, Tyler Foljam and I on ESPN's Twitter and Facebook channels and their YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Bet is every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Today we are on at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. So we'll be talking Monday Night Football, NBA draft, a lot of this stuff. Bring on some guests. We'll have a great time. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.